All right. Hey guys, how's it going? So pretty much you already know from the title of the video, the do's and don'ts with Duolingo and learning a language using Duolingo. So first of all, basically like Duolingo is getting a bad rap, which I think is completely unnecessary, right? I hear so many people trashing and talking down on Duolingo, but the reality is I think Duolingo is 100% helpful. And this is where we get into the do's and don'ts and using Duolingo. Duolingo is really great for learning vocabulary and really just building up like a solid foundation in learning another language, right? Because let's say you want to learn a language, the barrier of entry prior, before Duolingo, in my opinion, much harder, right? It seems a lot harder to learn a language versus Duolingo, in my opinion, lowers the barrier of entry. You can kind of just go in, start learning some phrases, and they make it like a game. They gamify it where it's like, okay, you can enjoy the game and still learn a language on top of that. And in my opinion, my observation, I think the issue that people get into when it comes to using Duolingo is they turn Duolingo into a one-size-fits-all type of app. And in the reality, you have to use Duolingo and you have to use other resources. For example, at the current time of this recording, I'm currently at level 61 when it comes to learning Brazilian Portuguese. Now, Portuguese is not a language that I'm fluent in. Currently, at the time of this video, literally my Portuguese tutor just texted me on WhatsApp to confirm our meeting later on. So basically, at the time of this recording, I am currently at a high A2 level fluency when it comes to Portuguese. And by no means necessary is that, fluent enough to work a job in Brazil and have conversations without getting stuck, but I'm using everything. So I'll use Duolingo to kind of, reinforce certain vocabulary and words that I know and words that I'm learning, but like my phone is in Portuguese. I recently did a study abroad program living in Brazil for a month with a Brazilian family, taking classes in Brazil. So like having that immersive experience. Now, I understand not everyone has the opportunity to study abroad and just live in a country for a period of time, but like you really have to use your resources, right? So for example, with Duolingo, I pay for Duolingo Super. If you're using the free Duolingo, it's you're not going to get enough practice where you have that language reinforced versus you have Duolingo Super, where you can kind of keep playing the Duolingo game as much as you want, right? And another thing, and something that I learned with living in Brazil for that month, you have to practice speaking. That's another issue I see that people have that depend on Duolingo or depend on studying a language. There's a difference between studying a language versus speaking the language. You have to practice speaking the language, right? And that comes from shadowing. Like you might watch a podcast, read the transcripts, and you might just kind of copy how they're talking, right? Like you'll read the subtitles, read the transcripts as they're speaking, and you're speaking it like in their speed, their tonality, their accent, all of that. That's one way. One ways that are helping me increase my fluency is like singing along to Brazilian songs, basically. Like just finding the lyrics, the songs that I like, and just start singing along. Finding movies and just watching it, because you have to train your ear to hear how the language is spoken, right? It's similar to English. Like the way that the language is taught, there's a difference between how it's spoken, especially if you live in certain regions. Like I live in the United States. For example, I live in the South. There's a difference between how standard English is spoken versus how Southerners speak English. And it's the same way when you're learning a language from any other country. different regions will have different dialects, right? The way it's written may sound different from how it's spoken, right? You might read the textbook of whatever language you're learning and you might sound robotic to how it sounds in real life. So it really comes down to, in a nutshell, you use Duolingo as a supplement. You don't use Duolingo as a one size fits all. You need to practice speaking, right? You still need to, if you have the money to afford it, pay for a tutor. If you don't have money to pay for a tutor, watch movies, listen to music. With the Duolingo, right? I pay for Duolingo Super. I don't pay for Duolingo Max. Duolingo Max is like, I guess they're using AI to help them out. But listen, you have Google Gemini, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, ChatGPT, Claude. You have AI where you can actually like have it, like the prompts I would use is I would have it like send me, like quiz me on a certain topic or whatever in Portuguese, right? And it would help me out with that. Or I'll even use the voice option where I just start talking and I'll literally ask for critiques like, hey, am I saying this correctly? Where can I improve? So you, again, like Duolingo is great for what it's supposed to do, but Duolingo is not a one size fits all. And like, I don't want this video to be too long. I can definitely go into detail in another video for like tricks for gaining fluency a lot earlier, because, and again, I'm saying all of this stuff because so at the time of this recording, I'm at level 61 in Duolingo. When I went to Brazil, when I went to Sao Paulo, I was at level 30 on Duolingo. And with being on level 30, I had enough of survival Portuguese. It was broken. It wasn't the best Portuguese, but I had enough survival Portuguese where like I could live in Brazil, I could work a job and build off of what I already knew. So with level 30, I had like a solid foundation, right? Being on level 30, having my phone in Portuguese, listening to music, doing all of the things and not just only solely relying on Duolingo. But hope this video helps. Like, subscribe, leave a comment.